Hello everyone and welcome back to the Crochet Circle. In today's tutorial, we're going to learn how to make a tube top with adjustable straps. We'll crochet a ribbing effect to make this cute and comfortable top. Along the way, I'll give you some tips on how to customize it to make it your own. I hope that you guys enjoy, and make sure to comment below if you have any questions or to let me know how your top turned out. For this project, I'm going to be using a 4-ply yarn. I went with the Lily Sugar and Cream 100% cotton, and I'll also be using a 4mm hook. If you have a hook that is slightly bigger and smaller, that is a-okay, because we are going to be customizing this to fit our bodies. So what I'm going to do now is create a slip knot and put my crochet hook through that slip knot so we can begin our chain. Now we'll begin creating a chain for how long you want your top to be, from the very top to the bottom, like the top of your bust to where you want your top to end. I wanted my piece to be a crop top, so I chained a total of 45 chains. And this is going to be your opportunity to customize it for yourself. If you'd like a shorter top, maybe you want to make a swimsuit, or a longer top like a full-on tank top. Depending on what you want, this is your chance to customize the length. So now that we have our chain for as long as we want the top to be from top to bottom, we're going to chain one and begin working single crochets. The first single crochet will go on the second chain from your hook. To single crochet, you're going to put your hook through the chain. You're going to pull your yarn through. You'll have 2 loops. Then you're going to pull your yarn through both loops, and you've just created a single crochet. We're going to continue with placing 1 single crochet in each chain along our foundation row, and this is going to create our first row. We just completed our second single crochet, and now we're moving on to the 3rd stitch. So that's number 3. Going into our 4th stitch, that is number 4. We're just going to continue to be placing 1 single crochet in each stitch along this row, and I'll be back with you guys when I get to the very end of my row. Now I'm placing the last single crochet in the last chain of this row. And once we've completed our row, we should have a total of 45 single crochets, if that is how long you wanted your top to be from top to bottom. Let's begin row 2. To start, we are going to chain 1. We're going to flip our work around, and as you can see, each stitch is made of 2 loops. We are going to be placing our crochet hook through that front loop and pulling the yarn through and completing a single crochet. For our rows, we are going to be completing this process of placing 1 single crochet in the front loop only. And this is going to create our ribbing effect once our top is complete. So that's number 2. Three. 4. We're going to continue this process of placing a single crochet in the front loop going along this row, and I'll be back with you guys once I am at the very end of my row. Now that row 2 is complete, it should look like this. You'll see that there is a little bit of an edge between row 1 and 2, and that's going to be the ribbing effect. We're ready to begin row 3. So to do so, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work around. Now we're going to be placing our first single crochet in the first stitch that our chain is coming out of, and again we are placing it in the front loop only of the stitch. I'm placing my crochet hook through the front loop, pulling my yarn and pulling it through to complete my first single crochet of the row. Then I'm just going to continue this along the row. I'll be placing my second single crochet in the second stitch of the row. So that's 2. Begin to work on our third single crochet, and we're placing it in the front loop. 4 and 5 and 6. We'll continue placing this along each stitch, only working in that front loop along this row. For the remaining rows, we are going to follow the same pattern by placing one single crochet in the front loop of your stitch until you reach the end of your row. When you reach the end of the row, you're going to chain 1, turn your piece around, and continue to work one single crochet in the front loop of the row. This is how my piece looks after completing row 3, placing one single crochet in the front loop of each stitch. And we're going to continue to build it up. This is after completing row 4 and row 5. And all I did was place one single crochet in each stitch going along the row. And at the end of each row, I counted to make sure that I have 45 stitches so that my piece doesn't grow or get smaller, and it's all one straight piece. In total, I built up my piece to be 131 rows, which came out to about 28 inches, and this comfortably wraps around my body. Once your piece is at your desired width that will wrap around your bust, we're ready to put it together. And to do so, we're going to sandwich it together. To close up our piece, we're actually going to be working slip stitches along this seam that we're creating. We are going to continue working our piece in that same corner stitch where we left off. Once we have our piece sandwiched together, we're going to work our first slip stitch in that very first chain, or that very corner chain of the opposite side. You're just going to place your crochet hook through that. Then we are going to take our yarn and pull it through. And we are pulling all the way through, and that is how we create a slip stitch. Now we are going to be working our second slip stitch in the next stitch, and we are placing our crochet hook through both sides. And we're just going to pull our yarn through to complete that slip stitch. And that was the second one. Now we're going to continue that, placing my crochet hook through the front piece, all the way through to the back, pulling my yarn through and through the loop to complete our slip stitch. And again, I'm just placing my crochet hook through the front piece, all the way through to the back, pulling my yarn and pulling it all the way through. We'll continue this process of placing a slip stitch in each stitch going along this seam, and I'll be back with you guys once our piece is put together. I've reached the last stitch of my row and I'm going to be placing a slip stitch to finish this up. We're going to pull our yarn through and all the way. Now we're going to close this off by chaining one, pulling it tight, and snipping it. And so I could admire my piece as I'm working on my straps. I'm going to flip it right side out. And as you can see, we worked this ribbing pattern and it's just so cute. The ribbing gives it this stretchy effect and I just love it. Now let's get started on these straps. To start the straps, we're going to grab our yarn and make a slip knot. And then we are going to put our crochet hook through and begin chaining the length of our strap. For my strap, I chained a total of 110 chains. And I made it so long because I want it to tie at the top, because I like the design of a piece when it has the tied top. But this is another opportunity for you to customize this top to make it your own. If you wanted to make a top that doesn't tie at the top and just has a regular strap, then you would chain a piece that goes from the front of your collarbone to the back of your shoulder blade. And you'll make it as long as how you want the piece to rest. How low do you want it to go on your bust? And so that's just a trick if you'd like to customize it yourself. But I really like how the tied top looks, and so that's why I did a total of 110 chains for the foundation row of my straps. I'll be back with you guys once I've completed this chain and I have 110 total. When I completed my chain, it came out to being about 21 to 22 inches long. Now that our chain is at our desired length, we're ready to begin working the row. We're going to chain one, and we're placing our first single crochet in the second chain from the hook. I'm pulling my yarn through, and once more to complete a single crochet. I'll continue placing a single crochet in each chain of this row, 2 and 3. 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to continue working one single crochet in each chain of this foundation row that we are creating. And I'll be back with you guys once I've completed row 1. We've completed our first row and we're ready to start working in row 2. To start row 2, you'll chain 1, turn your piece, and begin working your first single crochet in the first stitch of the row. We're going to be placing these single crochets in the front loop only to continue the ribbing design on the strap. I'm going to start working my second single crochet in the second stitch of the row, and I'm placing it in the front loop only. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll continue this pattern of placing 1 single crochet in each stitch going along this row, and I'll be back with you guys once row 2 is complete. I've reached the end of my row and I'm placing my last single crochet in the front loop of my last stitch of the row. And to finish this up, we are going to chain 1, pull it tight, and snip it. So we've just created one of our straps. We're going to create 3 additional straps that are just the same way that we created this one. In total, we're going to have 4 straps, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, so that they tie at the top. Once we have 4 identical straps, we're ready to attach them to our piece. And to do so evenly, we're going to sandwich our piece together. This will help us find where the middle point is, where we're going to attach our strap. So I'm going to take my strap, one of them, and I'm going to place it in the middle. I'm going to be placing it face down so that when we attach it, you won't see the seam line. So once you have your strap where you want it to go, you're going to take your crochet hook and your yarn, and we're going to start working this strap into the piece. So I'm taking my crochet hook and my yarn, and I'm placing my crochet hook through the corner of the strap and poking it all the way through to the back of the piece. Then I'm going to be taking my yarn and pulling it through, and I'm going to be securing this with a double knot. Once our strap is secured, we're going to start working the strap into the piece, and we're going to be placing our crochet hook through the corner stitch of both the strap and going all the way through the piece. Then we're going to take our yarn and we're going to pull it through. We're going to chain 1, and we'll begin to work in slip stitches to secure this strap to the piece. So I'm going to take my crochet hook and place it through the middle of the strap. I'm going to pull it through and all the way to complete a slip stitch. We'll be working our next slip stitch in that middle chain or stitch of the strap. So I'm just going to take my crochet hook and place it through the middle, all the way through the strap to the piece. I'm going to pull my yarn and all the way through to complete a slip stitch. Then I'm going to be working in that corner stitch or the corner of that strap piece. I'll be poking my crochet hook through both the strap and the piece and pulling it through to complete a slip stitch. I'm going to close this off by chaining 1, pulling in tight, and snipping it. So there we go, our strap is attached to our piece. It's going to look like this, and we have 3 more straps to attach. I'm going to be working on the strap that is directly behind the one that we just placed. And to do so, we're going to turn our piece and line up the back strap with the front strap. I'm going to be taking my strap and I'm going to be placing it directly behind and aligned with that front strap. Once I have decided on the placement for it, we're ready to begin working it in. I'm going to take my crochet hook and I'll be placing my crochet hook through that corner stitch, the corner of the strap, and I'm going to place it through the strap all the way through to the back of the piece. And I'm going to grab my yarn and pull it through. To secure this yarn to the piece, I'm going to be tying it with a double knot. Once we've tied our double knot, we're ready to begin working in the strap. To begin, I'm going to be placing my crochet hook through the corner stitch of the strap. It's going to go through that corner stitch all the way to the back of the piece. I'm going to bring my yarn by pulling it through, and I'm going to chain 1 to begin this row. Our next stitch is going to go in the middle of the strap all the way through to the piece. We're going to pull our yarn and all the way through to complete a slip stitch. Our last slip stitch of this row is going to go in the corner stitch or corner of the strap. We're going to be working it through the strap all the way through the piece. Once our slip stitch is secured, we are going to be chaining 1 to close off this row. Once we have 1 chained, we're going to pull it tight and snip it. With that strap done, we're ready to work in our last 2 straps on the other side of the top. To find the placement for your other straps, you are going to lay out your piece and fold it in half. Once you fold it in half, you're able to see where your next strap goes, and we're going to follow the same instructions and the same pattern as with the other 2 straps. Once my straps are attached, I'll be back with you guys to show you the finished piece. Now that my straps are on, all of my loose ends are sewed in, I'm ready to rock this top. I hope that you guys enjoyed this process and now have a cute and functional top that you're ready to add to your wardrobe. Thanks again for joining the Crochet Circle. Make sure that you subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.